On February 3rd, 2026, Floyd Mayweather filed a lawsuit in California against Showtime Networks and Steven Espinoza, claiming they helped his former advisor, Al Heyman, misappropriate a huge chunk of his fight earnings to the tune of $340 million.
And he had been giving him 50,000 and 50,000 and 50,000. He had already gave Gamboa about 300,000 to chill on the side. And then we ended up, when he did go in, I ended up picking up all the fighters.
Al Heyman was so good at his job,
yes,
that he was clowning these networks. He was out negotiating the networks to the point where they were giving you an inferior product because his fighters were getting overpaid for lesser fights.
We weren't getting overpaid.
In that,
we weren't getting
I'm happy
overpaid
for every dollar made.
Freddie Hernandez.
Yeah, right.
This is the golden child of Al Heyman right here.
But it is admirable that Al Heyman not only did his job so well, but was helping fighters get rich while he was doing it. He created a climate where fighters started to begin to believe that they were worth more money. I don't mean to me. You're worth all the money in the world to me, the fighters. But I mean to the marketplace.
Yep. My thought is everything has a price. There is not a number that can get you back in that ring. 80 million, 100 million.
Nah, because now you selling your soul.
$100 million, you can have my soul.
That's you. Now we know your character. Sometimes, you know, you look at people and you be like, dang, man, you ain't got no dignity, you ain't got no morals. Like, come on, man. Like, what you gonna stand for if everything is about money? Like, I never was in a sport.
Crawford would smoke you. That's the jab 50 Cent just threw at Floyd Mayweather Jr. and it all ties back to a staggering $340 million legal fight. What makes this situation even more shocking isn't just the number, it's the scale of what's being claimed. Mayweather isn't pointing at small bookkeeping mistakes, he's alleging a long-running, carefully organized operation. According to court filings, revenue from some of boxing's biggest nights mysteriously disappeared, including the historic bout with Conor McGregor that broke pay-per-view records. Now, the undefeated icon says the reality was hidden in plain sight the entire time.
Floyd is stepping into the courtroom to fight for money he claims that he was never paid, and he wants justice on his terms. So let's talk details. Let me tell you about the lawsuits. On February 3rd, 2026, Floyd Mayweather filed a lawsuit in California against Showtime Networks and Steven Espinoza, claiming they helped his former advisor, Al Heyman, misappropriate a huge chunk of his fight earnings to the tune of $340 million. Mayweather says the money is still missing and unaccounted for, and he's now suing Showtime and Espinoza for aiding and abetting breach of fiduciary duty, civil conspiracy to commit fraud. Ooh, that's...
At the heart of the controversy is Al Heyman, once considered Mayweather's most trusted advisor. The lawsuit describes a deep betrayal, accusing Heyman of quietly diverting fight earnings, while Floyd remained unaware. The claims mention incomplete paperwork, gaps in financial records, and unclear transactions that allegedly kept the full truth out of reach. For someone known for controlling every detail of his career, this strikes directly at the foundation of his empire.
Floyd argues that during his legendary career, where he generated $1 billion in revenue plus and pay-per-view money, a significant portion of the funds that he made through those events, through his fights, didn't make it into his hands because they were funneled through accounts controlled by his then advisor, Al Heyman. Now, Mayweather says that Showtime delivered those checks and funds through systems that helped Heyman get the money instead of paying Floyd directly. The lawsuit also points to some of boxing's biggest pay-per-view fights, including fights against Manny Pacquiao and Conor McGregor, events that generated hundreds of millions in revenue. Mayweather's legal team said he generated hundreds of millions in revenue for Showtime and now wants to recover what he claims was unfairly.
Things reportedly became even more questionable when Mayweather brought in a new team. Once Richard Schaefer and others pushed for full transparency, Showtime Networks allegedly failed to deliver complete financial reports. Missing details tied to the mega fight with Manny Pacquiao and the McGregor crossover raised serious red flags. These were two of the richest events in boxing history yet. According to the lawsuit, the numbers didn't fully align.
Al Heyman himself, the advisor that Mayweather blames for the missing money, is not named as a defendant in the lawsuit. Instead, Mayweather's legal action targets the network and Steven Espinoza. He claims they aided and abetted these alleged financial wrongdoings. So what does this mean, and what's like a potential outcome for this case that's coming up? Well, the lawsuit could have some pretty serious implications, not only for Floyd's legacy, but also for how networks and advisors handle fighter compensations. Mayweather wants hundreds of millions back plus punitive damages, pushing this beyond a simple accounting dispute. If the court rules in his favor, it could open the door to more scrutiny of boxing's behind-the-scenes financial relations.
Now, this courtroom battle could expose what really happened behind boxing's biggest paydays. With $340 million allegedly unaccounted for and potential damages climbing even higher, the fallout could shake the entire sport. As fans try to process it all, voices like 50 Cent are amplifying the chaos, turning a legal dispute into a full-blown public spectacle where reputations are on the line.
Boxing promotion company once.
Yeah.
What happened with the boxing promotion company?
That really happened, Ken, because of my relationship with Floyd. You know what I mean? I didn't have interest in being a promoter, like, out the gate. It was just, he was doing Mayweather promotions at the time, and then he had to do 90 days. He was going to jail. And he had fighters, he had Rockers Gamboa, he had guys that was just lingering. I'm like, champ, if they're gonna leave. You go to jail, they're just gonna leave. Like, and he had been giving them 50,000 and 50,000 and 50,000. He had already gave Gamboa about 300,000 to chill on the side. And then we ended up, when he did go in, I ended up picking up all the fighters. And so Ruckus Gamboa, I had James Kirkland, Andre Durrell, Billy Dip, he was the IBF champion at that point, and then a few other guys, younger guys that I picked.
Never one to stay quiet. 50 Cent wasted no time turning the situation into entertainment. Continuing his long-running feud with Mayweather, he mocked him publicly and even suggested a solution. According to 50, there's only one way to recover that kind of money: step back into the ring for massive fights. He joked online that Floyd should gear up, look impressive against Mike, and then face Terrence Crawford for a huge payday. Meanwhile, caught in the middle of it all is Al Heyman, someone Max Kellerman once described as one of the most influential figures the sport has ever seen. Kellerman argued that Heyman's system reshaped boxing. Fighters got paid early and safely, but major fights fans wanted were often delayed or never happened. The business grew, but did competition suffer?
Al Heyman was so good at his job that he was clowning these networks. He was out negotiating the networks to the point where they were giving you an inferior product because his fighters were getting overpaid for lesser fights.
We weren't getting overpaid.
In that,
we weren't getting
I'm happy
overpaid.
for every dollar he made.
Freddie Hernandez.
Yeah, right.
This is the golden child of Al Heyman right here.
But it is admirable that Al Heyman not only did his job so well, but was helping fighters get rich while he was doing it. He created a climate where fighters started to begin to believe that they were worth more money. I don't mean to me. You're worth all the money in the world to me, the fighters. But I mean to the marketplace than they actually were. And so now it became difficult to make fights.
I mean, you really want us to change our mindset, right? The fact that we were putting our health in jeopardy every time we stepped in that ring, so we had to make sure to get every penny.
Then, Andre Berto weighed in, pointing out how complicated and unfair boxing's business side can be. He defended Heyman's approach, saying it was designed to protect fighters, not harm them. Kellerman, however, stood firm, acknowledging the strategy worked brilliantly for Heyman while still admitting it created real issues. As tensions grew, Turkey Alaushik entered the scene, offering fighters bigger opportunities, clearer deals, and massive stages.
Every time we stepped in there, I mean, that's the mindset that he put in our minds on a regular basis.
And good for him. But when he does his job that well, then Andre Berto doesn't have to take the best fights to make the money, and now me as the consumer doesn't get to see the best Andre Berto fights. My point is, fighters started thinking that the market was different than it really was, because Al was juicing the market. In that climate, big fights stopped getting made, because fighters are thinking, I'm making all this money for not taking a risk. You want me to fight that killer? Or their managers want me to fight that killer for not much more money? Into that terrible situation for the consumer, stepped Turkey Al-Sheikh, who said, oh, okay, wait, what are your petty differences? It's over $1 million or $2 million. Here it is. Here's my gift to the boxing world. Everyone take.
But the situation only gets more complicated. Even with bigger money on the table, some of the biggest fights still aren't happening. That raises even deeper questions. Kellerman pointed to the long-awaited clash involving Virgil Ortiz Jr. and Jaron Ennis, a matchup fans desperately want but still haven't seen. Now, attention is shifting towards Zuffa boxing, a potential new system that could completely reshape the sport.
Now the problem is
he's overpaying. Like I said, I'm not mad at that. If you're gonna give me the money, we're gonna fight whoever you want me to fight.
But Trey, now the problem is Boots and Virgil can't get made for $6 million plus for the fighters? You think the average person on the street in this country knows who Boots and Virgil?
At the same time, 50 Cent's comments spark another question: is a fight between Crawford and Mayweather secretly being planned? His remarks hint that something could be happening behind the scenes. Beneath the trolling and headlines, there's a growing discussion about whether their paths could finally cross and whether 50's words are more than just jokes.
A lot of comparisons between Terrence Crawford and Floyd Mayweather. We've even had the conversation to go as far as who would win in a fight between Terrence and Floyd. And I truly don't know the answer to that question.
I do.
You do?
Yes.
Yeah. Who will win that fight?
Floyd.
Floyd will win that
Yes,
fight.
sir. I love you, Terrence.
Always figures it out.
Yeah,
Yes. he's a chess master.
Yeah, his IQ in that
The
shit
funny
is
thing
crazy.
about it is Terrence has been the only other guy that people can say he always figures it out.
Yeah,
You know?
Yeah, that's true.
But you gotta have an OG somewhere.
Anybody
though.
else? Yeah.
There's an OG somewhere.
Somebody got to pioneer, right?
There's an OG you can't out-figure out
Yeah,
somewhere. And I
yeah.
just believe Floyd is that OG you can't out.
On the flip side, Terrence Crawford doesn't seem interested in chasing comeback money fights. He's made it clear that even massive offers wouldn't pull him back for the wrong reasons. For Crawford, it's about legacy, not cash. He believes he's already achieved what he set out to do in boxing. Meanwhile, Mayweather's repeated returns have strengthened his image as someone who prioritizes financial opportunities.
Thought is everything has a price. There is not a number that can get you back in that ring. 80 million, 100 million.
Nah, because now you selling your soul.
$100 million, you can have my soul.
That's you. Now we know your character. Sometimes, you know, you look at people and you be like, dang, man, you ain't got no dignity. You ain't got no morals. Like, come on, man. Like, what you gonna stand for if everything is about money? Like, I never was in a sport because of money, you know? Of course, I was in a sport to make money, but I wanted to be a world champion. You know, I wanted to do something that I set my sights out to do as a little boy. Money wasn't the motivation. Me being a world champion was the motivation.
Crawford explained that his childhood dream was to become a world champion, and he's already accomplished that. At this stage, he sees chasing money as compromising his values. He's determined to stay true to himself and the legacy he's built through dedication and achievement in the ring.
Accomplishing all the things that I've accomplished along the way on my journey, you know, it was extra credit. It was extra credit because it's coming from the hood. It was like, man, I just want to be a world champion because that's just my dream. So when I became a world champion, it was just like, man, all this other stuff is like a cherry on the top. Like, you know what I mean? I did what I set my sights out to do. It was evident that I wasn't gonna let nothing stand in the way of me accomplishing that goal in my life. My mom telling me all the time, you need to get a plan B. You need to go to school. Man, you know me in school don't rock. What I'm going to school for?
Y'all lay tight.
I'm gonna go to school and I'm gonna get in the fight. I'm gonna get kicked out of college.
Meanwhile, Mayweather's lawsuit raises serious questions about how boxing operates behind closed doors. He claims earnings from his biggest fights, including Pacquiao and McGregor, were routed into accounts controlled by Heyman. Years later, when his team asked for records from Showtime, they were reportedly told documents had been lost in a flood. Now suing Showtime and Stephen A. Spinoza for fraud and conspiracy, Mayweather is also seeking additional damages. His legal team insists he generated massive revenue for the network and is now fighting to recover what he believes is owed, this time in court instead of the ring.
Some of your best fights happen under the Showtime platform. Can you share a little bit of your take on what's going on with Mayweather? He's suing Showtime for $340 million.
Nah, we don't care. Money man trying to get more money and had a lot of money and did dumb things with money, and you know, it is what it is, man. Rich people got rich people problems. I ain't mad.
Still, skepticism continues to grow. Some question whether the claims are completely genuine or part of a larger narrative. Critics point out that Mayweather isn't directly suing Heyman, but instead targeting Showtime, the organization that handled payments. That raises a key question: how could this go unnoticed for so long? And if the money was paid out, where did it actually go? Timing, awareness, and intent are now under heavy scrutiny.
I don't know whether or not Al Heyman did any of this or not. This is an accusation made in a civil court by Floyd Mayweather Jr., not even against Al Heyman. We'll see where exactly and why, I don't know, he wouldn't sue Al Heyman. He's suing the people that paid Al Heyman the money and appropriated it to Al Heyman instead of to Floyd Mayweather Jr. directly. We would have to understand the contractual relationships between those parties to see whether or not this is something that Floyd should have known about or did know about or maybe did not understand. Because it seems very, very funny that Floyd would not know that the money was getting paid to Al Heyman and not direct.
From 50 Cent's explosive taunts to the controversy surrounding Mayweather's $340 million case, boxing is buzzing with debate. Crawford remains focused on legacy, while Mayweather continues to dominate headlines. Could all this noise be building toward a blockbuster showdown, or is it just hype? The answer might change everything.